Hey guys, it's Raul again, and once again I'm here to bring you the monthly recommendations video. This one obviously being for the month of November. For those of you who do not know yet, monthly recommendations is a group that was created by Kayla and Trina from Between Chapters. I will link both of their pages down below for you guys, as well as the Goodreads page for you guys to join along and recommend books every single month. I'm really excited. I absolutely love making these videos. I love the monthly recommendations group. So let's just jump into all of this. So in the month of November, the theme is trilogies. Our favorite trilogies that we have read, regardless of what anyone's opinion is, we enjoyed these. And I absolutely enjoyed these trilogies that I will mention. One of them technically has a fourth book, but it's one of those trilogies where years later, the author comes out with this random prequel book that somehow fits into this. Whatever. But I will still mention this trilogy, so let's just jump into these right now. The first trilogy that I love, which comes as no surprise, is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I read these books years and years ago. Before any of the movies came out, before this became a big thing, before it was well known. I read this, and I think it was me and one other friend even knew that these books were in existence, I feel. I don't know. But, I mean, I don't really have to get into details as to what this is about. This is awesome. You guys have probably all seen the movies and are excited about the new one. So I just had to mention this briefly in there as one of my favorite trilogies that I have read. The next one also comes to probably no surprise to you guys who have watched my videos before, and that is the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. The first one obviously being Shadow and Bone. I didn't want to hold up all three of them, but this trilogy I absolutely love. I love Leigh Bardugo. I love her writing. I love just everything that she puts out, and I had to mention it as one of my favorite trilogies. This is somewhat well known, so I'm not really going to go into a lot of detail as to what it's about. Just check it out if you haven't. And the third on my list of favorite trilogies is a trilogy that I do not physically own, but I do have on my Nook. And I'm probably not even going to show a picture because you all know what it is, and that is Divergent. I absolutely love the Divergent series when I read it, and I read this trilogy right before I started my BookTube channel. So I haven't really talked about it on this channel, but I loved this trilogy. I loved all three books. I didn't feel like it got slumpy at any points or weird. I don't know. That's just my thing. I really enjoyed it the whole way through. I felt like every book, to me at least, got better than the last one. I loved everything that was going on and the characters. I loved the ending, which a lot of people did not really enjoy, but I enjoyed it myself. I loved this trilogy. I really loved Veronica Roth's writing and just everything I thought was great about the series. I loved sci-fi. I think this was the first young adult sci-fi series that I had picked up, because before then it was just like, Twilight and Hunger Games and that kind of thing. Even though Hunger Games is also kind of sci-fi, but either way, Divergent I feel like was more sci-fi than Hunger Games was. But either way, I enjoyed the series, loved it, and this definitely had to make my list of favorite trilogies that I've read. And the last trilogy that I have for you guys today is the trilogy that I said kind of, the author released these three initial books and then years later decided to come out with the kind of sort of prequel to this series, which I also read and enjoyed. But that is the Circle trilogy by Ted Dekker, consisting of Black, Red, and White. And I have this in the bind up, so all three books are in this giant bind up tome, which is kind of in poor condition. But I read this series, absolutely loved it, and I will get into a little bit more detail on this one because I feel like this one isn't as well known as some of the other trilogies that I mentioned. This is a fantasy series. The main character kind of lives in two different worlds. Like, he will fall asleep in one world, and one world is just like the real normal world like you and I are living in today. He falls asleep in one world and wakes up in another world where everything has kind of like fallen back. So it's kind of a very fantasy world where, there are horses and it feels like it's very old, but it takes place in the future, so it's kind of a regressed society. I really, really enjoyed it. These two points of views that this character is going on. He doesn't really know why it is that, he falls asleep in one world and wakes up in the other, and kind of the things that start happening. I don't really want to get into too much spoilers, but this is an absolutely amazing series. This is for those of you who don't know, Ted Dekker is a Christian fiction author. So this has a lot of kind of Christian undertones and a lot of kind of biblical themes writing throughout this series. and I absolutely, absolutely loved it. This was a great fantasy series. This, I think, is the first fantasy trilogy that I've read. So this trilogy definitely holds a very, very special place in my heart with all of my reading memories, just having it being the first kind of thing that got me into fantasy. So definitely check this out if you guys haven't heard of it, or if it seems any type of interesting to you. I would definitely check this out because it is a great fantasy story. It is a great kind of Christian fiction story and trilogy. So this is definitely one of my favorites that I've read. So yeah, guys, that is it for my favorite trilogies, the monthly recommendations for trilogies this month. There are a lot of other series as I started kind of looking to see which ones to recommend that aren't trilogies. Like they had 4, 5, or 6 books in them. So I may at some point just do favorite series recaps and things, just because I really want to talk about some other books that aren't just trilogies, and some other trilogies that I've started but haven't finished. So eventually, maybe sometime next year, whenever I finish all of these other trilogies, I'll talk about them more. But for now, these are my favorite ones that I have completed and have really enjoyed. So let me know in the comments below what your favorite trilogies are, other trilogies that I may not have mentioned that you guys recommend, and I will see you guys next time.